Best team I ever faced in my career. You make the process, the pressing, the methodology to do that is incredible, well organized. He came here to beat us. I know his faces in the guard of honor. I saw the faces in the first minutes, how commitment, how they communicate each other. That's why I give a lot of credit.
It was spot on. I mean, Manchester City were brilliant, but what did you make of Klopp in that interview?
Obviously very frustrated with. I thought some of the questions were just stupid, banal, really, because, you know, we're talking about somebody whose team has literally walked this league, and, you know, they've gone to the former champions who have got a point to prove themselves, and they've been beaten out of sight, you know, and he's asking the kind of questions that it's just trying to antagonise. And I think he's right to say that, Klopp's saying, listen, if you want to write a story on the fact that we weren't focused or our minds weren't on it, then do that. But yeah, as a manager, I saw what I saw in there. And I think that you can, with the way that they've played this season, and you can forgive them that performance, because what that will say to them is Man City putting down a marker saying, hopefully you're ready next year.
Yeah, I just think that what that summed up for me, what that underlined that result last night, was how fantastic Liverpool have done. Yeah. To beat a team as good as Man City with games in hand, it just shows you the achievement, because that Man City side is a top side. Yeah. And for them to win the Premier League, Liverpool, with games in hand, you know, for, 7 games in hand?
Yeah, one it was
fantastic achievement to beat Man City.
And of course, you followed Jurgen Klopp's career over in Germany as well. Was that typical of Klopp there, just basically saying how it was, and was he being prickly or not for you?
He's not the greatest of losers, but then winners rarely are.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't take a lot in these type of situations to get him a little bit angry if he doesn't like the line of questioning. So, and because I think he can think ahead a couple of corners, if you will, where the story is going. Yeah. He figured out that the story was going to be Liverpool weren't really at it. They'd partied too much, and I think he tried everything in his powers not to agree to that, and reacted quite strongly and was very defensive and defending his team, because I think in his view, Liverpool, there was nothing wrong with the attitude. I think it was more a sense of not really being able to play at the 100% that you need against a City side, otherwise they embarrass you.
Yeah.
They weren't at the races, but does it matter ultimately?
I think it's embarrassing, I think, simply because what we've seen, like we've seen in this league, this is why this league is so amazing. Yeah. City go to Norwich, they're not concentrating, they get beaten. If you're Liverpool, it doesn't matter how good you are, I don't matter if you're champions, you go to City and you're not right and you're missing chances, not taking chances, that can happen to you. That's what Jurgen Klopp's saying. And yes, we know that they've probably had a good time in the last week, so you can forgive them for that, but you can't forget what's preceded this game. Yeah. You can't. Now, if they come out against Villa at Anfield and they lose another 4 or 5, then you have to start asking questions. But for Man City to beat you like that, there's no shame for me. It's no shame. Only the fact that they've given a guard of honour, they were the former champions, and people can make what they want with that.
Well, Wright, you did joke that after the game, maybe the guard of honour should have been given the other way around after 90 minutes. But we were treated to this, of course. It was a real spectacle. It's clearly not quite the same without 50,000 supporters in at the Etihad Stadium. You can almost hear the individual claps from the City players. But that is in stark contrast to what happened in the 97-98 season. Arsenal were given a guard of honour by Liverpool. They'd just won the title. There goes a certain Ian Wright. On the day itself, the newly crowned champions Arsenal lost 4-0. Yeah. But that is a guard of honour there, though, isn't it, Ian?
Well, at Anfield as well, it was magnificent. When you look at Anfield, look at them, you know, clapping to a man, you know what I mean, clapping us to a man and woman, and we got hammered in the game, I've got to say, but at the same time, I remember it. I remember the week, and it's hedonistic. You've won the league, and it's great, and it's very hard to focus on the game coming up, and we got hammered.
Yeah, it's very interesting, because I often got criticised at Charlton once the team got to 40 points, which was safety, that we tailed off. Yeah. And everything at the football club was geared to finishing higher. Yeah. You know, and the players knew that, bonuses and everything else, and next season. But sometimes, once you reach where you're hoping to get, sometimes it's...
Which is human nature,
absolutely.
It is. I think at Anfield they were clapping you because they like the fact you didn't let Man United win. But of course they appreciated your team as well, I'm sure. No, it is. I mean, we've seen it happen. We've seen it happen across the leagues, across Europe, with teams who are fighting against relegation, dropping off, teams who cannot no longer achieve European football. I mean, there's usually a reason why we say this team is at the beach at this, not this time of the year where they are usually actually at the beach, but in May, and it can happen. But I think Klopp was unhappy because he felt this game could have gone differently. That Liverpool started actually quite well, had a few chances, and on another occasion maybe they lose 3-2, or it's a 2-2 draw, or maybe they concede a few goals, but not to be embarrassed as far as the result looks. And I think that really just needled him a little bit.
Yeah. Let's have a look at those key moments then, starting with that penalty incident, of course. There's a bit of grappling going on here, wasn't there, between Joe Gomez and Raheem Sterling?
Yeah.
Ian, you felt Sterling almost went down at the wrong time.
Well, look, to be honest, when we see it from the other angle, this is a fantastic touch. And what he's trying to do is trying to engage him like we saw, Al. Look, he's got Gomez's shirt. He wants to keep him close to do that turn. Now Gomez's arm is on him. You're thinking, OK, if you're going to go down, then you go down now. Now his arm's not on him, and he's gone down. And at no stage did he kind of like make a movement, Gomez, to yank him down or anything. So he's kind of brought that penalty off, and he's gone down. And at no stage did he kind of like make a movement, Gomez, to yank him down or anything. So he's kind of brought that penalty off of the referee, really. So, it's what he does. He does it very well, Raheem.
Yeah, and I think that Klopp will be, when he analyses the goals, the throw into Sterling's feet.
Yeah.
Henderson was around it. He could have stopped that.
Yeah.
If he'd have been on it, perhaps he'd have got in front of Sterling. The ball wouldn't have even got to him. But once Sterling could feel Joe Gomez...
Absolutely.
Once he could feel him. And Sterling started it by tugging.
Yeah.
But he's won the penalty, hasn't he?
It was definitely a personal.
He's won the penalty.
There was a duel going on with those two, wasn't there, for best part of 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Funnily enough, resulted in Gomez then being substituted at half-time. 2-0 then came along. Phil Foden, who we'll talk about in a second or two, but he played a big part in this to set up Sterling. And this was the Sterling-Gomez incident too as well, because he managed to get it through his legs for 2-0, Raf.
Yeah, he did. I mean, Sterling played like a man possessed, I think, for most part of the game. He really had a point to prove. And I think that kind of is emblematic of City's attitude. They were just beaten, they've lost their title. They can't win it back on the occasion, but they played like a side who wanted to make a point.
Yes.
And that might have given them, again, the extra sort of 5-10% that really made the huge difference at this level.
I think that you see a couple of the mistakes in there as well, Al. With Andy Robertson. Can't understand why he's going in to try and make a challenge on somebody who's got so much time leaving that space, but that's what happened. That's what happened in the game.
But you'd say that perhaps one or two Liverpool players have been accused of not being at it. You look at Andy Robertson; he's probably too wound up. Is
that what you think it was?
I don't. Just lost his radar, I think.
And I think he's so quick. I think he thinks he can resurrect a mistake. Not against Man City, you can't. Yeah. So he goes diving in first. And he dives in for the third goal as well. And he probably thinks, my pace will get him out of trouble, but he didn't.
Again, you look at where he is there. I think he should now hold his position because, he's just left that whole space there. Good finish. People saying maybe the goalkeeper could have came out, just could have stayed.
Yeah.
I don't think he could. I think he tried to come out and get that big green presence there, but I think this is here. This is from Andy Robertson there. This is not what you see. Look, no chance of winning it, and he's left the whole space behind him, which has been exploited by Foden, who does it brilliantly.
Alan, you said earlier the good goalkeepers, they come out, they stop, don't they, and then come at you again.
Yeah, they come out, stop, and then say to the forward, "What are you going to do?"
Yeah.
But he made Foden's mind up, and it was on his right foot, so Foden only had one option. If he'd have stopped it, Foden, he'd have got caught.
Yeah.
But he made Foden's mind up by coming out so quickly.
Yeah. Phil Foden, a word for him, because, look, we've waxed lyrical about him for so long now. And Pep Guardiola afterwards was very strong about him, didn't he? He said he will be a huge talent. Will he get a look in next season, though?
Probably, yeah, especially with David Silva leaving. And he's always been very strong on Foden, and Foden going nowhere, not going nowhere on loan and that, because he's always known, obviously, he's known that David Silva's probably moving on. And when you look at what Foden has done in the games that he's came on and played in, I think he's been very patient, and I think that his patience is now going to be rewarded, because I think he'll start games next season, because we've seen what he's capable of, and I think that he's been managed really well. Very frustrating to watch him not get a chance earlier, but they seem to have done it perfectly for him.
Raf, from the outside looking in, do you feel that there is a clamour from those who almost follow England to want Phil Foden to get more regular minutes in the Premier League? Or, you know, from your perspective, do you think that's warranted?
Well, first of all, I think it's natural for City fans to look at a young player coming through and hope that he can make it. You have a different relationship to a player like that rather than the 26-year-old Spanish international comes in and might leave again 3 years later. So